Hello, kindred spirits, and welcome to a video that explores the mesmerizing dance of life and death, a love story unlike any other. Today, we'll embark on a poetic journey that beautifully intertwines these two enigmatic forces. Let me tell you a story, a love story of life and death. Once upon a time, life met death in a dungeon. That's where death lived, unlike life who lived freely, in the mountains. She was instantly captivated by death, his fearless nature, his determination, his abilities, his strength, and his willpower. Unlike her, he knew what he wanted and he would never let it go until he reached his goals. While she kept oscillating between what if and what can be, she kept coming to this dark, abandoned place just to get a glimpse of him. He was unaware of her presence. One day, he was sharpening his weapons. She was staring at him from a distance. He pulled his armor and sword and struck it with red-hot heat. She was taken aback by his valor and how handsome he looked when he raised his sword. She took a step closer to get a closer look at him. In unawareness of her near surrounding, she placed her leg on wobbling stone and fell flat on her face. She screamed out of pain and started bleeding from her toe. Death was shaken by the noise and went out with a sword and rage and anger in his heart to kill the trespasser. As he entered the backyard, he saw a helpless lady screaming out of pain. He pulled back his sword and asked, "Who are you?" She raised her head to see him. She was the most beautiful creature he has ever come across. He was taken aback by her beauty. "My name is Life," she answered. Death's expression changed and in an angry tone he said, "Walk away, and never come back here, ever again." Life looked down and said, "Pardon me, I was just looking around. I had no intention of harming you." "I know," Death said and walked away. Life went back to her mountain and cried. She wanted to forget him, but all she could do was to remember him more. She decided to give it a last try and tell Death what she truly felt. She walked the same lane, but this time with unsureness in her heart. Instead of going in the backyard, she decided to go and meet Death straight away. Death saw her coming from the distance and ignored her. "Why are you doing this to me?" Death asked. "Doing what?" "Avoiding me." "I mean, I am not avoiding you. We are just not good enough for each other," Death said in a sad tone. "Why?" Life asked. "Because we just aren't." "Don't ask too many questions," Death said. "But I have started to like you. I don't have any friends. I just need you to be there." "I told you to go away," Death demanded. "I won't unless you tell me why," Life said. "Because if we come together we will destroy this universe," Death answered. "That is not true." Life hesitated and with the low voice said, "I love you." Death looked at her and said nothing. Silence filled the space between them. Death started walking away and she said, "Don't do this to me. I have to." And Death went inside his room. Tears rolled down her eyes and she too walked back home with a heavy heart. Time passed. Hours rolled to days and days to months. One day Life in her usual attire was sitting near a treetop. Death was walking down the hill. She saw him and called him. "Hey, you." She lost the balance while waving at him. Death looked up and saw her falling to the ground. He flew towards her and caught her by his arms. Life looked into his eyes and he looked back. They both lost themselves for a minute. "Remember, never fall in love. That will be the destruction of everything that ever existed," his father once told him. He kept her back on the ground. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I came here to meet you," Death replied. "Why?" She inquired back. Because I missed you so much, Death said in a sad tone. Really, you did, Life asked in a confused tone. Yes, Death replied. But you told me we are not good enough for each other, Life said. Yes, I did. We are not. But I cannot stay away from you for so long, Death said with a heavy heart. Neither can I. She cried. She hugged him and they united that very second. This universe was burst into a bubble and the whole world was absorbed into a black hole. Everything turned to nothing. There was no life, no death. Just plain black nothingness. After eons, there was a big bang and it gave birth to this entire spectrum of universes including planet Earth. Every being that was ever born on the planet since then has to die. And every dead being on this planet has to be born again. And in between life and death, the only thing they will crave for is love. Life and death will be eternal lovers for eternity to come. And this is the greatest love story of all time.